20 Questions with
Gary Bullock.
Gary, welcome to 20 Questions with. How are you today?
I'm very fine, sir. Thank you very much. And yourself?
I'm doing good. Yeah,
Yeah.
doing great. Okay, all right, Gary, here we go with your 20 questions starting from now. What would you name your boat if you had one?
My boat, if I had one. Well, I probably wouldn't have a boat to begin with. I'd probably have an aircraft. Because that's my passion.
Yeah.
If I could afford it, I would be flying my own plane. But that's way beyond my means. I don't know. I'd probably name it after my wife.
So Mill, yeah.
Marvelous Mill.
Mill, yeah, that sounds good, yeah. Are you a good cook?
Yes, I am actually. I have a few recipes that I do well. I don't, pretend to be a great cook, but my wife is. My wife is a very good cook. And say my specialty would be Eggplant Parmesan.
What is that, by the way, Gary? I've not heard of it.
Oh well, it's an Italian dish, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's you slice, without going into a great deal of it. You slice eggplant up after you've peeled it. Slice it up, dip it in egg, and coat it with breadcrumbs. Fry it up. You get a stack of those going, and then you layer them in a baking pan with tomato sauce and mozzarella. Top it off with mozzarella at the top layer, and then bake it until it's done. I can't remember exactly when, because I just or what the temperatures are and all that sort of thing. But that's that sort of thing. It's like lasagna, only different.
That sounds yummy.
Oh, it is. It's great.
It does sound great. So I know where I'm booking the table next. Yeah. Where are some unusual places you've been to?
Unusual places. Well, Salish Falls would be one of them. That's pretty unusual.
Yeah, but it's pretty beautiful as well, isn't it? I think.
Oh, it's gorgeous, yeah. And it's the first time I'd ever been to the Pacific Northwest here, which has its own character. It's a beautiful part of the country.
Yeah.
But I guess the most interesting place outside of that I can think of offhand is a small town in Italy called Lesina, Lesina. It was the site of the base of the 325th Fighter Group in World War II, who once Italy pretty much it hadn't capitulated entirely, but the Germans had a base there, and then the Allies drove them out and built their own, and helped the people of the town restore their town because the Germans had made trash of it. And there is a long-standing debt of gratitude of the people of that little town to Americans, and in particular people of that fighter group. So they've actually built a memorial on the shores of their lake there to those guys. And I happened to have known one of them when I was a kid, one of the pilots, and got involved in a documentary that was built, a video documentary that was done by one of your fellow Brits, a guy from, he's a Brummie.
Oh yeah,
That's where he's from.
From Birmingham, yeah.
And he's a very talented videographer. And that's his passion, is aviation history. So we had a little partnership go up there, and I did some of the narration. Well, I did the narration, and also wrote some of it too. And that developed into about 3 hours worth of video. And it was just an amazing experience going there. We went there for the memorial dedication, and were treated like royalty. It was amazing. That's a very small town. It's a fishing village originally, I guess, and it's off the beaten path. I guess it's a vacation spot for Europeans out of Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
That's what it's mostly known for. Americans wouldn't go there necessarily because it's not that easy to get to. So it was unique.
Who are your favourite musical artists?
It's pretty eclectic. I'm stuck mostly in the 40s, 50s, 60s musically, because that's the time period I grew up in.
Yeah.
So it's the 40s golden age of what they call it. It's called the American Songbook.
Yeah.
Music, big band, singers in the folk era, folk music, and then in jazz it would be Brubeck and Miles Davis, and let's see. Nowadays I don't pay a heck of a lot of attention to music. The thing of it is, I do love it, but if I'm doing something else, it takes me away from what I'm doing. It's not one of those things I can just do in the background. So I appreciate quiet more than I used to.
Yeah.
It's funny that. I mean, I do love the classics as well, of course. One of my favorite pieces is Beethoven's Sixth, the Pastoral. I think it's one of the most beautiful pieces. And that pretty much covers that, I guess. The singers and so forth, it would be everything from Sinatra to Joan Baez to all that bunch.
Have you ever been up in a hot air balloon?
In a hot air balloon? No, I haven't.
Ah.
No, I think that would be kind of cool, but I've never done it.
Yeah, it would be rather cool. Yeah. Okay, next one is, do you believe...
And I've never skydived either. I've never jumped out of a plane.
No, I haven't either. I think my problem is a problem with heights.
Well, my wife has.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she went. She had a chance to do a skydive several years ago, and said, "Sure, yeah, I'll do that."
So she's a bit.
And did enjoyed the heck out of it.
So she's a bit of a daredevil, Gary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit.
God almighty. Yeah. Have you ever seen a ghost?
Can't say that I've ever seen one. I certainly feel like I've felt the presence of some other entity in the room more than once. So I have no trouble in believing the idea that there are others around us that we can't see or necessarily speak with. No, but I've never seen one. No, never visually seen one.
What is your favorite animal?
Oh, well, let's see. I'm a dog person, really.
Yeah.
But as far as wild animals go, I'd say the raccoon is probably one of my favorites. We're surrounded by wildlife here where we are in the mountains. We're pretty isolated, so we've seen everything from mountain lions to black bear to bobcats and fox and the usual smaller animals, the squirrels and so forth. So we see quite a lot of stuff, but raccoons would be one of my favorites.
Yeah. What was your best subject at school?
Well, it'll be a toss-up between the sciences and mathematics. I was a math major in college, and math and chemistry. Always loved them from the time I was very small, and that was my actual training. I never got any training as an actor. I just picked it up, I suppose, by fortunate associations with people that knew what they were doing. It's not rocket science, but it's not as complicated as some people would like to make it be.
Yeah.
I know I did always want to be up there, on the stage at any rate. When I was a kid, my parents took me to the movies too, and so I saw a lot of early stuff, and was completely mesmerized by it. I just didn't think there was a way for me to do that, but it turned out that it came back and did that to me anyway.
You did, yeah. Well, yeah. What
Yeah, there was a point in time where I decided I needed to make the leap, or I would never know. So I left a good-paying job as a computer person. Let's see, what do we call it? Software engineer.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that anymore right now. It's all gone by me. I have no idea what they're talking about anymore.
It's moving so quickly, technology. That's the thing.
Oh my God, yes.
It doesn't wait for you to come up for air, does it? It's just like a new thing out all the time, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
If aliens landed outside your house, what would be the first thing you'd say to them?
Oh, I'd say, what'll it be, guys? I've got Newcastle Brown Ale. I've got Land Shark Pilsner. What would you like? One and have a beer.
And you could offer them some of that speciality cooking you were telling me about earlier. You know, that dish. They might like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the one with the eggs. Yeah. Okay. What was your favourite childhood toy?
Childhood toy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, I was always fascinated by things in miniature, so I was always playing with little teeny tiny cars and little teeny tiny people. I was making up, fantasy stuff. I was the only child till I was about 8, so I spent a lot of time just in my own head.
Yeah.
But toy otherwise, not hard to say. It's hard to say. It was actually when I got old enough to appreciate the fact that I could build something that would fly. Now that really took me off. I've never stopped ever since then. I've been building model aircraft for since I was about 14 or 15, and I have now about 40 or 50 planes hanging either in our workshop or in the house.
Wow, that's a lot, yeah.
All but a very small handful of them have been flown. They're radio controlled, but yeah, that way I can fly safely. I don't have to worry about being hurt. I fly vicariously because I can't afford to fly a real aircraft, which was my first ambition.
Yes, yeah, you wanted to do that, yeah.
No.
This is a bit safer, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a bit safer, flying model ones.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, all I have to do if I crack up is either toss it or I repair it. Most of the time I repair it.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. If you could invite a famous person from history to dinner, who would it be and why?
Oh, well, I could start off by saying that this gentleman was one of the inspirations for me going into acting as a profession, because Abraham Lincoln, just to make it short.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln was an inspiration to me back when I was toying around with the idea, when I was in college actually, doing college drama and such like that. Somebody said to me, well, you look like you could, you should, if you ever got a chance to play Lincoln, you should do that. And, of course, we were both all a bit, had a few at that point, but the idea stuck in me, and eventually I wrote my own one-man show as Abraham Lincoln. And after doing a number of years of research, actually, reading everything I could find out about him, and he was truly an amazing man, way ahead of his time in many respects. Yeah, he would be an interesting one, because he was a storyteller himself, and a humorist of himself, too.
Mm.
He was, he'd be the first guy I would think of. Yeah, Abe Lincoln.
What is your favourite alcoholic beverage?
Ew. It would have to be probably a nice Macallan Scotch. That's turned out to be my absolute favorite. A 12-year-old Macallan, single malt. And after that, there's a really nice rum out of the Caribbean that I like, and there are 2 or 3 bourbons that I like, but mostly it's all neat. I rarely mix them with anything, and that's about it. I mean, I like my beer and my wine and such, but those would be my favorites.
Yeah,
Spirits.
yeah. The beach or the woods?
A little of both, I guess. we certainly live in the woods, that's for sure.
Yeah.
My wife is, of course, from the North Sea. I don't know whether I told you this or not before, but she had a bet with a girlfriend of hers when she was a teenager that they would swim each day in the North Sea, and for a year, regardless of the time of the year or anything.
Oh.
And they did it. I mean, they didn't stay in very long during
It's
parts
freezing
of the
there,
year.
yeah.
Oh, good God, yes. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I've seen her go into water that I would just not even get close to and swim, because she just loves it. You know, and she grew up with that kind of environment.
Yeah.
And she went swimming in the North Sea itself, even in the middle of the summer, is an adventure, I'd say. I mean, I stood and watched her go in when we visited there once. Watched her go in at Whitley Bay, and I was standing there in my leather jacket and my, fully dressed up and everything, and there she goes into the water, and I'm standing there actually feeling cold.
Just watching her, yeah.
And this was in June, or late June, so there was it was just ridiculous.
Do you think that dreams have meanings?
Most of the time, I don't think so. I think that it's possible that they do sometimes, but I don't pretend to know why. There's so many dreams that just make no sense at all. They're just little snatches of something when you put them together and you think, well, that's, what's that all about? And it doesn't seem to have any kind of what's importance to it. So, I think they can, but I'm not sure that they do very much. I think we can get messages that way, but I can't remember ever having gotten one, so I can't attest to it.
Yeah, that's the trouble. Dream recall is difficult, yeah.
Yeah. It's hard enough to remember them, right. As soon as you wake up, they're pretty much gone.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless you write them down immediately.
Yeah, what they call a dream diary, some people do, yeah. Have it by their bedside table, and as soon as they come to, they write it down, and they write it down straight away, yeah. Name one country that you'd like to visit that you haven't already.
Scotland, I think.
Oh, nice, yeah.
The Highlands are beautiful, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
And my heritage comes from Scotland, Ireland, Wales. That's where all the people in my family came out of. I thought you used to think Ireland would be a great place to visit, but I don't think that's quite true anymore. I think it's changed a great deal, but I think Scotland is still pretty forbidding in places. And is that not particularly interested in the cities, but the countryside, I think, is what I'm more interested in seeing.
The Highlands or somewhere like that, yeah.
The Highlands, yeah.
Yeah. If you had a superhero power, Gary, what would it be and why?
I want to fly, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Wouldn't we all, yeah.
That way I wouldn't have to pay the expense, of an airplane ticket to go to St. Bart's or wherever.
Yeah, you'd be able to fly anywhere without having to go through all that passport control. Yeah.
Real money saver.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Saves all that queuing and all that luggage handling and all that shit, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think we all, when we were kids, dreamed of being Superman, being able to fly.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one of the sort of like fantasies people have, isn't it? The freedom of flying around,
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, we have dreams. I've had dreams in which I could fly. That's true. I just remembered now. You asked me about that earlier, in which I just, flew, just jumped off and glided.
Yeah, it's a wonderful freedom, isn't it?
Oh my!
To have, God, can you imagine? It would be amazing, wouldn't it? But all we can do is imagine, because we have to have machinery to do it. We can't do it of free will, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's the only way we can get around, is relying on a big metal bird, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I wrote a little article about flight a while back, not that long ago. I'm trying to imagine what it must have been like when that idea first struck early humans, watching the birds. When the idea first may have hit them, why couldn't I do that type of thing? And I think a lot of us have lost that sense of magic about flight because it's so common now. I mean, you could go anywhere, fly anywhere on a plane, but anyway, yeah.
What do you like to do to relax?
Oh my. Well, like I say, I do build and fly model planes, and that does occupy a bit of time. And it is relaxing to me because it also calls upon my skills as an engineer and the knowledge of how things work, how to make them work, that kind of thing, which is all part of my makeup as well. So yeah, I enjoy that, but just out walking around in the woods is pretty fascinating too. And I got plenty of them here to walk around in. I'm looking at them right now. We're surrounded by forest, and we can't see our neighbors. They're pretty well out of sight. And there's lots of places to go and things to see right here.
Absolutely, yeah. It sounds amazing. How ambitious are you?
I'd have to say about medium, whatever that may mean.
Yeah.
I'm not a terribly ambitious person, I don't think. I don't have that drive to achieve, stardom, for instance, as an actor or anything like that. I just don't have that. I love the work, and I love the sense of family that you have when you're working as an actor with a group of people that you really work well with. But otherwise, it's I would like to succeed as a writer. I have written now a couple of books that I'm happy with, but to make them successful seems to require great injections of money.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just write something, you have to actually promote it. So it's the gone are the days where, can become a world famous writer because some publisher has picked you up and basically does all that work for you. I don't think that happens much anymore. But there are people out there who are single-minded enough and have the drive to do it, and welcome to it. I don't have whatever that is that makes me do that. I don't have the I don't have unlimited amount of money to put towards something like that. Promotion, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Outside of the fatherly things about, well, always find a back. Always make sure being an actor is fine, but just make sure you have something to back up to, survive. All those kind of counsels that parents give. But as far as advice goes, I'm not even sure where I got this. Maybe I invented it myself. It's just a 2-word piece of advice. Pay attention.
Yes, that's a good one.
That's good. That's best advice for an actor.
Oh yeah.
As acting is reacting, and it's the best advice for anybody who wants to live in the real world and not let it all go by them. Just pay attention.
It's a good one. It is.
And that's the first thing I'd say to anybody if I was teaching acting or anything else. That's the first thing I'd say. Okay, here's your rule, and there's only one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's that's good, and it's so simple as well. Just two words. It's.
Yeah, and then you get into the work of explaining what you mean, and how, and why, and all that sort of stuff. But if you keep your rules simple and straightforward, much better off.
What inspires you?
Wow, you pulled out a good one there, Frank. That's a biggie. What inspires me?
Yeah. It can be what or who. It's just a general.
Ranges all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, it's true there have been people that have inspired me, including my wife.
Yes.
But in general, I think the fact that I live out here where I do, out of choice, and we both love it here. I mean, it's not like we're fighting each other because one of them is beach and the other is the woods. Because we do love it here. It's just nature, I guess, for lack of a better word, almost a cliched way of saying it. But it's hard to ever be bored if you live out here like this.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'd have to say it should be impossible to be bored for anyone. There's always something that, unless you're brain dead, that should, get your attention, that interests you, to make you, see what else you can learn. I don't know. Yeah, I have to say, living the way we do, surrounded as we are by wildlife and the woods, and we have a stream here too that goes in front of the house. That's pretty inspirational to me.
It would be. I would be the same if I was there. Because there'd be so much natural beauty around you.
Well, you ever get over here? Come on by.
I'll have to.
We'll find.
I'll probably come along in a hot air balloon or something. Yeah.
In what?
A hot air balloon. I'll land in the back garden. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And I'll bring some Newcastle brown ale with me and stuff.
Okay, bring a sleeping bag because we don't have much room.
All right, I'll bear that in mind. Well, Gary, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That is your 20 questions.
Well, all right then.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, that was a doozy for the last one. I'd probably come up with a different answer each time you ask me some of this stuff. But
yeah, I think that's what happens.
But,
yeah. But thank you so much for taking part, though, Gary. I appreciate that.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Frank. Always to talk with you. Yes.
It's lovely. Thanks, guys, also for listening to this. And we will be back with some more 20 questions very soon.
All right.
And
Okay.
until then, take care.
Okay, you too.